Hello guys, welcome back to my Neopets playthrough series. So after defeating Songbong, we have to crawl all the way back to White River Town. There are also some changes in White River Town. First of all, the bridge has been lowered down so we can go south now. Second of all, the old shop now will give a 20% discount for all of the potion. You can stock up some potions there. And then there's a new shop in the south of the town. But there's not really anything you need in this shop, except maybe for the awakening potion, which could be used to revive a teammate outside of battle, which we are going to get one Mipsy very soon. So Jafaro is grateful for what we have done, defeating Songbong, and the town has returned to normal, the bridges have been lowered down, we can go south now. There's also Adeline, the previous mentor of Songbong. She also mentioned that Songbong is following a new master, a more powerful wizard. So could you guess who that is? And finally, we're about to get our first team member, Mipsy. Mipsy says, "Oh, you startled me, I'm sorry. I'm a bit jittery these days. What's with all the fuss from the bridge being stuck? I'm glad it's open up now, though. And I've heard it's all thanks to you. What do you do?" "Well, I'm a wizard, as you may have guessed from my robe. Well, I guess it from your stick from your wand. Not a very good one, mind you. I only know a few simple spells and other tricks. Would you like to join me in adventuring?" "Me? You want me to join you?" Mipsy jumps from her chair excitingly. Of course, I've already got my handy wizard wand and my ropes, and that's all I will need for a life adventure, isn't it? Let's get going!" There you go, plus one member. Mipsy is a powerful wizard that can dish out some damage in the early stage of the game, but in the later stage she turns to a more supportive role. We can talk about her skills later. If you have played Neoquest I, you'll remember there's only one hero in that game, and there's no clear indication in this game telling you that you can acquire a new member. So what if at launch, when there's no guide, no nothing, people just ignore this character, looking like an NPC sitting in the corner, and they don't get to use Mipsy for the rest of the chapter? That is tragic, I'm telling you. And then we encounter 3 forest loops. That is perfect for our Mipsy DPS showcase. Mipsy casts Word Wind. 64 damage, that is pretty good. Whenever you cast a spell, there is a chance that the enemy resists it and completely nullify your effects. Pretty much like missing an attack. Another 64, that's okay. Rohan can do the cleanup. There you go. At the early stage of the game, Rohan is still picking up crumbs one by one. However, Mipsy can clean up the battlefield with one click of a button. That's how strong Mipsy is at the early stage. So I guess we can talk about Mipsy's skills now. Mipsy has 2 damaging skills: direct damage, DD, or group direct damage, GDD or group DD. DD can deal up to 100 maximum damage to one target, and GDD can deal up to 64 damage to one target, but to a maximum of 4 targets. So the maximum damage potential is 256. Only level up one of them, do not level up both of them. You don't get to use both of them at the same time. My first run failed because of that, because of poor skill point allocations. So which one should I upgrade? For normal difficulties, I would recommend upgrading GDD instead of DD, because it kills the mobs this much faster. However, in higher difficulty like Insane, the monster's HP is doubled. So you want to kill one enemy first, you want to focus on one first. And GDD's 64 damage feels very insignificant. So you might want to pick DD, but it is all about personal preference, really. So there's also another problem with GDD is that when there are multiple targets on the battlefield, your casting time will be very long. And if the enemy decide to gang up on Mipsy, Mipsy is also a very squishy target, so she might not be able to save herself because her action is so delayed and she cannot drink potions. So that's also one thing that you have to consider in a higher difficulty run. Group Haste is another skill that I will max it, because it's a brilliant skill to use at the first turn of your battle and haste everyone up so everyone get their turns faster. You can also go for the haste potions option, but drinking the potion costs 1 turn, so it's not that turn efficient. I would recommend only using haste potion in more difficult boss fight. For example, the last boss fight. Also, buying the potions costs a lot of gold. Then group haste is basically free. Slowing is another speed altering ability, and it's like the complete contrary of group haste. First of all, it's a single target spell, second of all, it targets the enemy, and third of all, it's not as good as group haste. Because there's a better option. Just use slowing potions. Slowing potions give a greater extent of slow, and it is also less likely to be resisted by the enemy. I would not recommend investing any skill point onto that skill. And then we have damage shields. Basically, it puts a spike shield onto your teammates, and whenever they receive a physical attack, they will retaliate some direct damage to the enemy. And max is 22 if I recall correctly. But the real question is it worth casting this spell instead of casting DD or GDD? From my personal experience, damage shields usually won't generate enough damage to precede DD or GDD. Because if the enemy is casting damaging spells or slow spells on you, damage shields will not have any effects. Also, damage shield's damage is more backloaded, unlike DD and GDD that is upfront and takes immediate effects. Most of the time it feels like a waste of turn unless I have this max leveled. And I will not recommend any skill point on this skill unless I have one of the DD, group haste, and 2 passive skill maxed. The 2 passive skill is also pretty good, because Mipsy is quite squishy, melee defense will work great on her, and casting haste is just like Rohan's melee haste, it is important on Mipsy. I would recommend upgrading casting haste after I max out one of the DDs. I'll upgrade melee defense whenever I'm feeling too squishy, and eventually maxing it. Do you see a pattern that I stopped leveling up my skills up to level 11? That is because bosses might drop weapons or armor that will give you skill levels up to +4 for Rohan and Mipsy. I like to keep them at 11, but it is completely unnecessary, especially for normal difficulties. And phew, that was a long section. Now we are finally at Lakeside, we can do some rest first, and then go buy some new armor or new rope for Mipsy. She'll definitely need one because she's so squishy. There is a myth running in this town saying there's a lost city inside the desert, which is southeast of this town. So in order to enter the lost city, we have to find the Hermit's Prachado first. Only after talking to him we can acquire the password to unlock the lost city. It does not look like that I need any of these weapons. The sword is only barely better than my current one, and it also doesn't have the crit attack skill. The wand doesn't really do anything on Mipsy because it doesn't improve the direct damage that you can deal. I only buy the tunic and the robe, and increase a bit of their tankiness, as they will need it. Also remember not to sell your father's sword. It can be used in the final boss fight and is better than most of your weapon options. So keep it. The Hermit lives in the northwest of the town, and the trees will block your way in this map. So you have to locate your own path. Or you can just use Jelly Leo like me. That's pretty convenient. This is the conversation with the old hermit. You can pause the video to check the conversation, but I'm not gonna go word by word for it. Basically what he said is that there is a lost city called Phorofor, and only after talking to him you will acquire the passcode to enter the city. He also mentions how monsters are becoming more hostile, beasts are becoming more furious because of Ramter's magic. So you have to find Ramter, and the only way is to cross the Lost City and to the east. This is the end of today's episode. I yap a lot about Mipsy. It's actually not that difficult, just build 1 DD, group haste and 2 passive skills and then you're good. Mipsy is a pretty good DPS, but after chapter 2 to chapter 3, her firepower kinda falls off because her direct damage is always capped. Thanks for watching. I'll leave you guys with this NPC's dialogue because she is a friend of the old hermit, and you are supposed to talk to her first before you find the old hermit. But you know what? Screw it.